guys, welcome back to another Alpha and Omega. I've already did my top 10 werewolves, so today I'm thinking of top 10 vampire films, movies, whatever you want to call them. I do want to do a lot of video game stuff, a lot of anime stuff, whatever I can get into with this. I've hopefully some books. Check out my top 10 authors or book series. I did a top 10 puzzle game on Xbox. It's been my point to get a lot more things on my channel on YouTube than just unboxing, mailbox, toy hunting, because everybody has their own specific likes and dislikes. And let's be honest, there are a lot of great vampire movies out there. There are a lot of great movies out there. And there are a lot of bad movies out there. When I was growing up, one of my most disliked movies, and it's been there for a while, was G-Savior. Just way too much CGI. It just wasn't believable. A live action Gundam movie that wasn't really live action. But as far as vampire movies go, there are a ton of movies out there, just like there are a ton of werewolf movies out there. But as good as they are, a lot don't reach my top 10. But I do feel like a lot of these movies need to be, I guess, put out there. Like, My Best Friend is a Vampire. That was a great comedy movie. Great writing, great story. It doesn't reach my top 10. Jim Carrey also made a vampire film, which was an insane vampire film. It was a comedy, definitely old. When he first started. Definitely great. It is in both My Best Friend is a Vampire and this movie is in my top 15. Just like I said, there's a lot of vampire movies out there. And a lot of better ones and a lot of bad ones. And hopefully I get to put word out on some of the ones that I love Possibly you haven't seen them. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen a lot of the movies I put out there. But just in case, it's a good thing to always have something out there. So let's chat about this, shall we? Number 10, Underworld. Oh, man. Underworld. One of the better series, I would think, as far as vampire goes. The first original film, top notch, the best film, or one of the best films. But as the lineage of the movie progresses, it starts declining. And I mean, the third movie itself wasn't even a vampire movie, it was more a werewolf movie. It told the backstory of the lycanthropes. Which was cool, but it wasn't needed. And let's face it, the last movie, they literally took out her partner, her boyfriend, literally killed him off to bring out their offspring. And some kind of super werewolf. I mean, they turned this great action thriller into a comedy, sort of. Trying to keep the action thriller genre, but it just seems like they wanted money. They knew the franchise was a moneymaker, and they just put out films. Honestly, that's why, for me, Underworld is number 10. Just because of the decline and the idea of just pumping out movies. Like the first movie, like I said, excellent. Second movie was alright. At least they still had story. There still was hope. Then the third movie, like I said, didn't need it, which made it really drop. Then it built up a little bit, and then it dropped even more. I can't tell you how sad it is to watch such a great film and then watch. I mean, it happens with a lot of movies, but this could have been so much higher on my top 10 list if it didn't drop as bad. She's still pretty hot though. Like I said, the writing, 1 and 2 was great. The story is there. although 2 is a little decline from number 1. But after that, it just felt like they were throwing darts at a wall trying to make something. I don't know what to tell you guys, but that's why this is my number 10. 9 is the Wes Craven Dracula movies. Oh, Wes Craven is very well known to be another one that likes to pump pump out movies. The name itself is synonymous with horror films, with great horror films. His mind, there is nothing like watching his mind unravel. And the Wes Craven Dracula films, there are some very excellent reasons or writing. The story itself, though, the way it unravels, there are some good parts and there are some bad parts to it. That's why it's my number 9. It's not a bad thing. Dracula 2000 was insane, was fantastic. All the way to the end. I mean, to watch that ending, and then bring out 2 more Dracula films. Honestly, I don't understand it. Again, the girl in there was hot. One of the reasons why I watched it. It is a good series. It's just, it doesn't feel like the series connects. It doesn't feel like all 3 movies actually can make one storyline. It gives off the Forsaken vibe. Another great vampire movie. But most of the movie was based in hotel rooms, so yeah, it doesn't even touch my top 10 movies. But Wes Craven did an excellent job. The actors did a great job. The girls on there that he turned into succubus, they were creepy as hell. I definitely recommend watching Wes Craven's Dracula 2000. Dracula Legacy, it didn't live up to the hype as the first film did. Neither was the third or the next film. It's pretty sad. I can't. It's pretty damn sad. 8 is 30 Days of Night. So this movie series, again, first movie is fantastic. Writing, story, insane. Second movie, what the hell? So the first movie is in Alaska, in a small city on the outskirts of literally civilization. That's the word I'm looking for. For those of you who don't know, Alaska's is a weird timeline. They have the same time as we do, but for several months, their sun they live in complete darkness. And for several months, they live in complete light. It's just a bit dimmer. In this small town, it's 30 days of darkness because for 30 days they don't have any light. A ship from Europe somehow gets stuck in the outskirts, and it releases a horde of vampires that literally goes through the town. The action is superb. The story is insanely great. Because how do you stop vampires if there's no sunlight? The twist at the end is emotional and heart-pulling. Then you get to the second film, and it's all of a sudden about the Dracula's daughter Lilith. The thing is, it's a continuation from the first movie. You feel some connections. But the first film was fantastic. Watched it in theaters. Was blown away. I still watch it and I'm still blown away. I mean, there definitely wasn't like 30 people in this small town. You felt the need of survival. You felt the pain of losing somebody that, since it was such a small town, everybody knew each other. Everybody was close. These creatures were smart. They were very unstoppable. The entire movie was built perfectly. And then there's number two. Seven, Dusk to Dawn. So, a lot of people probably does not know this, but there were three movies. And somehow they were all connected. Dusk to Dawn. There was a TV series which sucked because they couldn't put the amount of violence from the movie to the TV. And literally again, downhill, two, I believe I can't remember, it was either a prequel or it was a sequel, but they talked about the same bar that was in number one. I think what made number one great was the mixture of different types of people. You had some bad people, and then you had this family that was trying to be on vacation. And the whole concept of the idea at the very end, they asked the guy that was trying to hire them why he picked this bar. And he's like, well, a bar is only as good as any other bar. Seen it on my way home. I've been wanting to try it. So I figured, why not? But oh my god. I think the head vampire was Selma Hayek. I think. It's been a while since I watched this movie, but the gore, the blood, the traps, everything makes this movie great. And then you got two, which was like a full drop to a B movie. Three, you didn't feel a connection between 3 to 1 and 2. Besides, it's a vampire movie, and they were trying to survive. But I would put 3 a little bit above 2. It happened in a town just a little bit, or the nearest town to the bar. It 3 had some great ideas to it. But the first Dusk to Dawn movie is definitely up there. It has to be on almost everybody's top 10 list of vampire movies. It's more than worth the watch. 6. Dracula Untold. Alright, guys, so Dracula Untold. This movie was a surprise. We went to see it not knowing what to expect. We knew it was a vampire movie. We knew it was about Dracula. It basically talks about the history of Vlad the Impaler, the person that was taught to be Dracula, or could be Dracula. It was a great story. The story was incredible. The writing could have been a little bit better, but it was still good. It basically talks about sacrifice. What are you willing to give up to save in this case, his kingdom, his wife, his child, basically everything he had. The action sequences, there wasn't much, but when there was, it was insane. I think this movie and Morbius was the only movie where the vampires had super speed and were fighting in super speed. I mean, the only comparison would be the Flash TV series. But even that, it was basically running, and whoever got the hit won. This was basically a full-on fight, and it was a breathtaking story, a breathtaking action. It was crazy. I think of the newest films, besides Dracula Untold, the only other film that to me I loved was Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. The directors, the writers, they all did a great job. The actors did a great job. It was a retelling of the story that should have been told. I mean, I can't say enough about this movie, but again, it's literally like halfway through. Number 5, Let the Right One In. Alright guys, we're halfway there. So we got a movie, I don't know, it's a foreign movie, I think it's from Russia, I don't know for sure. It could be Ukraine, it could be Chimera. It's one of those Eastern European movies. It is called the Let the Right One In. They did make an American version of it called, I really can't remember. They shortened the name. I think it was like Let Me In. It starred Chloe Grace Moretz. It was basically almost a direct copy of the original film, but the original film was so brutal that they couldn't copy that part to America. The story is basically there is 4 or 5 apartment complexes in a circle with a little kids playground in the center. A single mom and her little son moves into one of these buildings. The second or third night, he's having a hard time sleeping. Looks out the window, sees a little girl by herself. Keeps watching her. She gets off the jungle gym, runs up to one of the apartments. Next night, he sees her again. He goes down, starts talking to her. Her father comes out, starts yelling at the kids, both the daughter and this boy, to warn the boy to stay away from the daughter. But they start ending up becoming friends. The boy goes to school, starts being bullied. As their friendship grows, the boy finds out the girl is being abused by the father, but at the same time realizes that she's not quite human. She brings him back to the apartment. The apartment windows are all newspapered up. There is total darkness. He finds out that she has a disease that is very much like a vampire. She needs blood. But I think both versions don't call it blood. They call it plasma of some sort. She finds out that the boy is being bullied at school. One by one, the bullies are being killed. The cops get involved, start asking questions. Comes back to this apartment community. The father starts getting worried that they're going to take his daughter away. It ends up in a mind-blowing finish, but the writing for both versions, the American and the foreign, was spectacular. The story is incredible. It's one of those stories where it's not about the violence, it's not about the gore, the blood. It's about emotions, helping your friends. Definitely watch the American version. If you love the American version, you need to watch the foreign version. There is subtitles to the foreign version. I don't think they made a dubbed version of it. But holy crap. Queen of the Damned is number 4. Whew! We've made it this far. Number 4. This is an old movie that I know not a lot of people actually watched. I watched it because of 2 reasons. Vampires, Aaliyah. And it is called The Queen of the Damned. So the story basically is that a rock star, an immortal rock star, comes out as being tired of trying to change his looks, his music. So he comes out to the world as being a vampire. The world, of course, for some time doesn't believe him. But the other vampires in the world wants to shut him up. There are several attacks on him, his loved ones. But in the end, they wake up the queen of the vampires, who decides the human race isn't worth the time and the effort, and actually tries to not only kill him, but the other vampires, because all of them are trying to start a war that will let the human race know vampires actually exist. It was a tremendous story. The writing it wasn't great, but it was good. The acting, the music, Aaliyah. I think that was one of the last movies she worked on before she died. And it all unfolds at the end into this huge battle between the rock star trying to save the human race from the queen. It was it was the movie that I thought it would be a musical, and it was basically a musical without the music. There were a couple of musical songs in it. Of course, the rock star did do a couple music videos in it. But that's basically what it felt like, a music video with a great story. It definitely holds to being somebody's number 4. 3 is The Lost Boys. Alright guys, so number 3. Let's talk about it. The Lost Boys. If you talk to anyone making their top list of vampire movies, The Lost Boys will definitely be in the top 5 of almost everybody's film list. I think there's been 4 or 5 Lost Boys movies. Number 1 is the all-time great. Everything after that sucks. They did try to put small things in the movies to connect the movies together. Unfortunately, it didn't help. If I recall, it's been a while since I watched it, but it's definitely worth watching. If I recall, two brothers, well, a family comes into a small town. One of the brothers gets killed but is brought back as a vampire. The other brother tries to stop this group of vampires from killing everybody. When it first came out, it was a great ride. It was a thriller horror film. But every other movie after that was more comedic. There just seemed to, like, the writing lacked emotions. You couldn't fall into the character, which sucked. But the first film was epic. It kind of felt like a Stephen King film. And I mean, speaking of Stephen King, we do have Salem's Lot. I think it was another vampire film. Honestly, it's a great movie, just mentally it was hard to get into. Twists and turns. But The Lost Boys, it was easy to get into, it was easy to follow. There was a lot of emotions in the original film, a lot of darkness. That's why I had to put it at number 3. Number 2 is Interview with the Vampire. Alright, so number 2. Tom Cruise. This will be one of his greatest roles ever. Interview with the Vampire. About a journalist basically interviewing 2 vampires, technically 3. They had a little girl with them. That little girl was creepy as She played her character so well. I think the most recent little girl vampire movie that worked because the character was played so well, and is my number 11, is Abigail. That movie was insane. But Interview with the Vampire, at times it could leave you pretty speechless. How well it was written, how well the creepiness of the movie flowed. The story itself wasn't like this epic thing. It wasn't this epic story like Dracula Untold. But you still felt everything that the story needed to give you. The intensity, the darkness, the intrigue, the mystery. And at times the reporter himself, just like you will feel, you question a lot of what the vampires are telling you. Is it true? Is it false? Are they trying to control the narrative of what vampires are? I think that was the whole point of the movie, is they being so evil but coming in to try and manipulate people to make you think that they weren't, to try and trust you or try and make you trust them. That movie made you question a lot of fairy tales and truths and reveals and whatnot about vampires. What's real, what's not real, what could be real. And that is exactly why it's my number 2. Because it made you think, can vampires be alive today? Were they real in the past? What can kill them? What can't? It is a must-watch movie. Bram Stoker's Dracula is number 1. Alright, we're at number 1. And if you've been listening to the list, you know what number 1 is. One of the few vampire movies that left me shook to my bones. Bram Stoker's Dracula. So what the old Dracula movie was to the 60s and 70s, Bram Stoker's was maybe 5 times that in the 80s and 90s. The name held a respective fear and respect when it came to vampire movies, especially his original, the Dracula. Watching this character that's supposed to be thousands of years old literally float across screen, be able to twist and manipulate people's minds. It's a horrifying thought. if this was a real person. You would literally give up your life just for him. The writing was top notch. The story itself is what vampire movies are made of. This is the movie that left me shook as far as vampire movies go. Like, I know there's a few that left me scared, but this was the movie that left me not scared, but understanding that vampires, how dangerous these things are if they exist. How this character looks so old and delicate and decrepit, but still felt immensely powerful, indestructible, It's the words I can tell you is basically not gonna be able to tell you how it feels to watch this movie. And to actually read the book is even worse. And, it's not like I really wanted to watch the movie. Well, I wanted to watch the movie, but we had to do it for an English project where we took the movie and we had to read the book and kind of write a report of the not only the differences between the two, but combining the two, what we thought of the story, the character. And I will deeply say that is one vampire that I fear. I would fear ever seen. Anyway, guys, that is my complete list of my top 10. Technically 11 if you count Abigail. I would love to hear your top 10s. And hopefully, maybe this list will let you guys want to watch a couple of these movies if you have never seen them. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Be safe. Take care. Aloha.